All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I'm your host, A.D. Walker. As you can see, I'm the one in the car today. Appreciate you guys for rocking with us. It's Freestyle Friday. So, as you can see, if I'm in the car, there is no games today. So, we're just going to kind of chat a little bit, tell some dad jokes. You know how we do,
Oh
and
boy. Oh boy.
keep it pushing. Good morning, Mama Corey. Good morning, Lisa. Thank you guys for rocking always. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Uh, I'm trying to use some of the tech on this phone to do stuff. So hopefully, there we go. There we go. All right, so
You
we're gonna
know
run
it's
this intro.
hard out here for
So we're gonna drop this intro. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
Bam! Look who's in the building.
Uh-oh. Brother Little.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
What's what's up, brother? Did I catch you off guard?
He's like, oh, what's funny yet?
Hold on. All right, let me give you a minute.
Yeah, I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
need I need an intro. I need to come up with an intro track.
I got you. We'll talk. And look who stepped in cold. Time.
Ooh, what was that? Oh,
That's that old school stuff right there.
Yeah, that was old.
Wow.
Look,
Wow.
Larry's ready to go. Like,
I
come
was
on,
like,
man. Tell me when to go.
Man.
he said he gonna work on something that was quick.
Like, I'll be right back.
Hold up, y'all. Let me go get my car.
Oh,
I'm gonna go get my car so it looks, see.
right.
Brother Cole Johnson.
In the building.
How you doing there today? I got a blues for Cole.
Show you right. What's up, Larry? How you doing, Tom?
Oh,
What's
man.
Pastor? AD.
Yes, sir.
Guru.
In the
Oh,
building.
all
In
right.
the building. All right. So the first thing, welcome. Thank you guys for being here. My peoples, it's Friday, Freestyle Friday, so you know we're gonna talk about any and everything. Can you hear me now? No, you can't hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good.
He needs to
Speak
go
up,
up higher,
Yeah,
unless
speak
it's
up. You
me.
can't have
I
your
know I
cool
can't hear
voice
my
on
right
today.
ear.
Yeah, you sounded super sexy. You're like
You trying to, you ain't got the midnight love going
you
on.
going.
You got the midnight
Slow
love
jam.
show.
I keep
What's your
telling you guys.
DJ?
I keep
AD
telling you
Walker.
guys
Larry?
that's Donnie Simpson.
He's
Larry,
like
don't tell that man he sounds sexy.
he was like
Wow.
he was like don't talk, just
Wow.
listen.
He didn't say he sounded sexy. He said he had a sexy voice on.
Please
Listen,
stay.
sounding sexy, having your sexy voice on.
And now you're
doesn't
gonna
mean
make
you sound
AD.
sexy.
You gonna put Devontae swing on AD. That's cold.
Not Devontae. All right. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about the first thing. If you have watched the news about affirmative action and the colleges, and what's your take on it, or what's your opinion? How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it will have any effect on us? And Ryan had a very good point. He's got a different perspective. Well, not really perspective, but he saw some extra news stuff that I didn't know about. So I want him to share that as well. But what's you guys' take on it if you've been following it?
Man, I'm mad than a mug. I'm just kidding.
Have you been following it, Terry?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fill me in.
Fill me
So you
in.
need to bring Terry up to speed then.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
bring him. Okay. I mean, basically, in a nutshell, they've gotten rid of like affirmative action and for as far as college admission and the PWIs, I guess, the predominantly white colleges. So I guess it's no longer a racial preference or discrimination. I guess is not recognized. I'm gonna just say it in that fashion. I guess however they choose, they choose. Um, so now it's just back before, and I guess some of the reason we started the HBCUs, was because of the lack of being able to get into these schools.
Right. Right.
Yeah, they completely demolished, gutted, reversed affirmative action so
Right.
the colleges can no longer use race
Right.
as a justification to admit someone into
Right.
a school.
There you go.
So what does that mean? Like, do they remove ethnicity, race from the application process, or is that still intel being gathered? Like I wonder if you're removing it, remove it. I should no longer have to say black, white, Asian, other, whatever other is. Should have to put that down.
That's
And,
what's interesting.
And now we got the gender agnostic stuff. So
Wait,
this
wait, Larry, stay where you are first.
Okay.
Stay right there where you are.
Yep.
Because should they take that off the application?
Then it's up to
The
attitude.
reality is, while they have gutted affirmative action,
Right.
you are still allowed to talk about how race has played a factor, how your race has played a factor in your life and in your successes. So that can
Right.
still be a part of your application. And so my point to that, Larry, is
Right.
how do you remove affirmative action and still allow someone to talk about their race in their application
Wow.
and how it affects their life? Because that's going to play a part in the decision making.
Right.
So
Right.
you're removing affirmative action, but we have not rid the country of racism.
Right. Right.
Affirmative action was because
Other
the
races.
racial injustices. The affirmative action was because we couldn't get into the schools.
Right.
And now you're removing affirmative action. We can still talk about our race and how it plays a role, but racism is still an issue in America.
Right.
Oh.
So
Somebody help me
there's
make
things
that
that
make sense to me.
it won't. You know,
It's not going
if you try to make this country, you can't make this country make sense. Period. But when you start thinking about what you just said, Brian, there are other areas where they've taken something off an application. It doesn't make a difference. Like for felons, there's this thing called ban the box. Well, if you ban the box off of an application where you don't have to check whether you've been a felon or not, you can still tell that this person isn't prepared for a job. And so that kind of negates taking the box off the application if they're not prepared for the job, because you're not going to get the job anyways, because you don't even know how to fill out an application, or you don't have a work history or other things, right?
Right.
When we start thinking about affirmative action and why affirmative action was started, it's because there's this level of schooling that goes on in different communities. The quality of schools in certain urban communities is not the same quality of schools if you live in the north side. And so basically to compete with another school and someone's academic grades, it's not fair because there's this gap between schools. So you can, basically now what's happening is you're at the mercy of the person who gets your application at the university, and they get to determine between two different places. There's no affirmative action that's there. So we don't need, so there won't be this decision made or this weighted decision because of, okay, you go to this school here, your grades are good, they're comparable, but the quality of your curriculum is lower. And so you remove affirmative action, you allow people and their biases to come in. And that's one of the things. I have two sides of this idea of affirmative action. Number one, we need to be able to step up. We gotta quit leaning on government for a lot of other stuff. And so in this space right now, it's almost like we have to step up. It's putting us back into that civil rights mode where we have to begin to make noise for ourselves, but we have to be more excellent in what we do. We have to, start advocating for our schools and improving our schools and underserved communities. We have to teach our kids how to be prepared for college early on, because a lot of these other, races, that's what they're doing. Now, it's interesting because, are they going to take the race thing off? Eventually, I don't know if they have it off now or not, but gender stuff is going to be different. So will they change what it says racially on an application or not?
But,
I love that point, Thomas. My response is in the form of a question. You're absolutely right. We have to invest more in our schools. Isn't there a financial budgeting infrastructure for public schools, Title I schools?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Do we or do we not fall short when it comes to distribution?
It's questionable.
It's questionable?
Not distribution of funds, but where the funds go.
Right.
I think there's a question there.
Not distribution, but allocation.
Yes, there is a difference in distribution. I ain't gonna lie. There is that. But then with the limited resources that are in underserved schools, where do they go? Right.
So without us being in the top schools and getting the top positions and having the influence, we will continue to be at the bottom of the barrel in terms of financial allocation of funding, because we don't have people in those seats, because we don't have the education. The problem is all the people making those decisions are the people who went to the Ivy League schools, the top schools.
Right.
So if we can no longer get into those schools, how will we ever get in a position to have a greater impact when it comes to government funding? Right. That's what I'm saying. And my point is, this is taking us backwards. Because what you're saying, Thomas, is we need to spend more money. It's funny. My wife said this to me last night. We have enough minorities with enough money to put a dent into our social construct and our academic construct. You're absolutely right. We do. I can't tell people what to do with their money. What I will tell you is this. When you're in the right position, you don't have to spend your own money. We see that living in America.
Mm-hmm.
We come up in a country that teaches you the smart people live off the system's money. Who is the biggest beneficiary of affirmative action when it comes to college? Anybody know? It's out there in print.
White females.
White females.
Asians.
Yeah.
Really?
So you know what that tells me?
White female.
Yeah.
Wow.
It tells me that they will hurt themselves trying to hold us back.
Right.
That's how bad it is.
Right.
So it's the old cut off your nose, spike your face type mentality.
Yeah.
Well, you
So,
all probably gonna. You all go ahead, AD.
No. Go ahead, Cole. You can finish your thought. Then I'll say something.
I was gonna say you all gonna probably dislike what I'm about to say, because we should have seen this coming. I mean, through the Trump administration, he put 3 justices in there that leaned conservative.
Right.
And it got to the point where you knew things like this was going to come down the pike. It just was a matter of when, because people forget that with Supreme Court justices, you don't vote them out. They either die or retire. So whenever they're in there, they're in there for as long as they want. So the outrage we saw with abortion, and we make whatever opinions we have personally about it.
Right.
And that happened at this time last year, but it came as a shock to everybody. Repealing affirmative action. Now, this came as a shock to everybody. And I'm saying to myself, you have at least 5, if not 6 justices that lean conservative in their own personal leanings. How can you not see this is going to come up? So it is a shock that this happened to me. Now, as far as affirmative actions is concerned, and the responsibility and onus being on us as a community, it seemed as though we thought our civil rights struggle was over the moment we saw Barack Hussein Obama take office January 20th, 2009.
Right
So we just took the foot off the gas and we thought, okay, our battle's over. We got a black guy in Washington. Yeah, exactly. Like Drake. We started on the bottom, now we're here. We got the black guy in office. We never thought we'd ever have a black president. We have one now. Well, our struggle is over. No. Actually, you have entered into a new level of struggle.
Right.
And so now we're in year 15 of that new level of struggle.
Right.
Because you thought that the powers that be would allow us to have these things going without a fight. This was coming. Now we have to prepare for that fight. And we have to arm ourselves with new weapons to fight.
Yeah.
And we can't rely on the old weapons only. You know, we can't just say, well, all right, what our mothers and grandmothers did. Okay, well, we can rely on that. Yes, you can, but there's now new machinations that are in play, and now we have to arm ourselves with newer weapons. So how are we going to combat that?
Well,
and
we use
just
scripture,
and not throw up
one.
our hands and say, well, that's just the government and screw it, you know.
The Bible says, for the weapons of this warfare are not carnal, but are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. It's time to pull some strongholds down, y'all. They not ready.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Exactly. Exactly.
So,
But an old premise does ring true. You know, I mean, it does say in the Bible as well, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So we got to understand that this is a weapon that's being formed against us. So we got to lean on the fact that, okay, well, they might try to pierce, but you know what? It can't kill us.
It
So
could
how
be a
can
weapon,
we not
or
let
it could be something.
I started shouting and my dog came to church, y'all.
It could be a weapon, or it could be a blessing.
understand?
See, a lot of times we look at the
Well, no, that's-
issue and
yeah,
we start retreating because we see the problem, right? We see, like, when problems are easy, we have all the answers, but when a problem seems hard, we run. That's our first response. Why not try to, hopefully that we start to look at people starting to step up. We look at corporations starting to step up. We look at improving our HBCUs, but I will say this, like, this is where we start to see the rubber meet the road, because you cannot deny racism when it starts to be tracked. And this is one of those places where if affirmative action is not necessary, we'll see it. If it is absolutely necessary, we'll see that also. Mm-hmm. But I do believe this is an opportunity for people to stand up. And, the hope is that, we're not so rooted in capitalism that we can't give up some of our money for the next generation. And see, that's the only problem I really have with capitalism, is capitalism breeds greed. And so, there's a lot of people, when they make their money, they don't want to let it go. And they feel like, if I make more, again, I talked about this before, trickle-down economics. They think that the more someone else makes, the more they're going to give away, or the more they're going to empower those that are less. But the reality is there is no trickle-down effect. We see that. We have 30 years, 40 years of trickle-down economics, and we see that it didn't make the country better, even though the country seems richer. It's not. We're more in debt. We have more people in poverty. We have a bigger divide between the middle class and the upper class. And so when we start looking at things like that, we have to start seeing opportunities right here. What was that?
He said the middle class is getting smaller, shrinking.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. There was a study done in 2007, I think, and it started talking about how we're moving towards a class world, right? I think there was even a documentary about it, that we're shrinking into two classes.
Yeah, we are.
Right. And there's one class. The upper class will be above 150,000, and the lower class will be below 150,000. If you're not above that, then you won't be considered upper class. And that was a study done in 2007. And so, what does that say to your? Bro,
150 is an upper class.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, the difference between surviving and not surviving.
Got you.
That's what they're saying.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Did he say one? No, wait. Did he say 150 was struggling?
He did.
Listen.
Yes,
okay.
Terry.
I'm gonna
yes,
struggle.
Terry.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
150. We can't. Number one, we can't just throw a generic number out there because it depends on where you live at.
Yeah.
It depends
I'm
on where you live.
I'm only quoting the study.
It depends on how many children you have. It depends on what you're trying to do. So yes, if I'm trying to get by and I want my kids to go to private school just like the other people have opportunities, if I want my kids to be in sports, if I want my kids to be, well versed in a lot of things, they want to have access and everything. If I want to have access, 150 is struggling. Now, if you don't want to have access or if you don't need access and you're trying to just, go by, I'm going to be in public school, I'm going to do what public school things do, I'm not going to try to give them, then it's not struggling. 150 is good money, right?
Right.
Look, and it depends on where you're at now. Let's change it. Like if I'm in Idaho, I'm balling at 150. If I'm in Larry's neck of the woods, if I'm in Larry's neck of the woods, Brooklyn's in the house, I'm struggling. If I'm in LA, I'm struggling. If I'm almost anywhere on the West Coast, I'm struggling, right? Unless I want to live where there ain't no, proper utilities. If I can't get a cell phone signal, I can live in no cell phone signal zones and I'll be fine at 150. So I'm just saying.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And the sound of that is crazy.
Well, just think what happened in the last 3 years of inflation. We're getting back to affirmative action. I'm not deviating from it. I'm just making using all these other things.
But it's part of it.
But you start thinking about the last 3 years.
What affirmative action helps and the lack of affirmative action hurts. That's what you're showing.
Hurts.
Yeah. And again, if you have, you start thinking about rents and how much they've gone up. I looked at rents in Atlanta. So the house that I had in Atlanta, if I still had that house in Atlanta, I could have rented that thing out for $3,000 right now.
Wow.
$3,000 at least. And that's the bottom. I was looking at just day before yesterday. And when you start looking at the rents, $3,000, when I left, the best I could do was $1,700 for that house. And that was maxing it out, right? So now the starting point is $3,000. The top point was $1,700. That's a $1,300 increase in 3 years that I can get in rent easily. And you start thinking about my mortgage didn't go up at that point, right? I don't have the house no more, but if I had the house, my mortgage didn't go up. That means I'll be able to double up on my payments and everything else, right? There's just so many different things now that you can do. But now the person living in my house is struggling, and they're struggling so much. Imagine, all the things that they have to go through to just try to make that $3,000 a month rent. The other thing is, like, you got to show when you're moving into a place, you got to show that you make 3 times as much as what the rent is. Now, how many people make $9,000 a month? So that's where we started talking about this struggle.
I did.
What was that?
I did.
He said, I did.
I did. Yeah.
Sometimes I dream.
He is me.
Terry is me.
So I got a question. Right. So we talk about affirmative action. We talk about the gutting out of certain programs and things that civil rights have fought for. What if this is our opportunity to build up our HBCUs and focus on the colleges that have our best interest? What if this is our opportunity, like you said, to not rely on the system?
So our opportunity was out there. Our opportunity was out there a while ago. with regards to
Right.
let's talk about the HBCUs, right? They're like our athletes. We're trying, like the top athletes were trying to start going to HBCUs, and
Right.
I seen it at a point where like this one kid posted on the Instagram reel all the schools that he got accepted to, but he wanted to go to the HBCU.
Right.
The HBCU were not able to. Let's not even talk about the facilities, not having the right facilities and stuff. They weren't able to provide a scholarship for the student who wanted to go to this school to go there, right? Where he had full rides to 3 PWIs, but he was like, I don't want to go there. I want to go to your school, but I don't have the funds to pay the balance. Whatever you give me $1,000 a year, where this school's here is giving me $50,000 a semester. Like, so what the thing is, yeah, do we need to help build it up? Definitely, but the HBCUs don't have the infrastructure to handle us. They don't have they won't be able to give out those scholarships if there was a major influx, and that's where where the capital investors need to come into play. Like LeBron, he's doing big with his own school, and he's feeding was it University of Ohio? Is that what it is? The school?
Akron,
right?
No. It's Akron University.
Akron. Okay, Akron. So he's feeding Akron, but what is Akron? Akron is not an HBCU, right?
Before Bron, you had Jalen Rose.
No, it's not. Go ahead, Pastor.
Before LeBron.
I was saying before LeBron, you had Jalen Rose. People don't give Jalen Rose any credit.
All right.
No,
you're right about that.
It's criminal. Yes.
And I like Jalen Rose. His hairline is official.
It's lit, right?
Yeah, but what is it? That thing is so crispy. When a barber cuts it, it gets tighter.
Yes. His pencil game is wonderful. Yes, his pencil game is wonderful. Yes, we will agree to that.
All right, but I haven't heard what Jalen is doing. So I don't know what Jalen.
See what I mean?
Jalen came up in the non-social media era. And
I'm not a fan of LeBron, but I appreciate what he's doing with his charter school and what he's doing with providing scholarships for everybody at school.
Right.
Yeah. He has a charter school in Detroit. Yeah.
But what is Jalen Rose doing? Please.
Same thing.
He has a charter
He's
school
doing
in
the same
Detroit.
thing.
Same thing as LeBron, but it has a charter school in Detroit.
So what I'm getting at is instead of feeding a PWI with the students, because now they're like, oh, I'm getting all this is income for them, right? They don't even care.
Right.
But now maybe he should feed. Is there HBCU? There got to be an HBCU in Ohio. Is there an HBCU in Ohio? Somewhere there.
I mean, you can't. Okay, so listen. If you're gonna do this, you got to realize that education is recognized in places. So the places and spaces you're trying to work in, that's what you got to realize your education gives you access to. We're talking access here. So if there's no back-end access to build up your HBCUs and there's still no back-end access, then that can be a detriment, right? So people are always trying to go where they're getting access. A lot of times we got to realize that if you want to build up your HBCUs, then build up access on the back end where people can now be runners of these leagues. Because again, a lot of the athletes that are in the top major sports, they come from these other schools where they could actually go to a HBCU, build up your own, networks, and everything works.
Right.
But maybe that's not the solution.
Yeah.
One of the things that we can slap ourselves for, right, is that we had affirmative action and we thought that we had a golden goose for the rest of our being, right? Instead of taking advantage of that golden goose over the last, since the 60 years now. So instead of taking advantage of that, we just kind of rode it out. And now that it's dried up, we want to throw our hands up and cuss. We should have took advantage of that. So if someone loaned you some money to get your business started, you would be like, okay, here's your money, get your business started. Now, if they keep thinking they come back to you every year to get money, eventually you're gonna be like, nah, we're good, right? You should have took advantage when I was giving you that money to really build your business up. I had you for years. And so now that it's gone, I think somewhere along the line, we got to quit thinking that this country is for the people. It's not. And it's getting further and further away from being for the people as we start to look at how things are deteriorating. So watching affirmative action go away, and regardless of what you think about abortion or whatever, we're seeing
Right.
these things go away. And where it's starting to say, you know what, people, you need to fend for yourself, because a lot of this stuff is getting expensive.
Well,
And there's going to be a casualty
What
of war here unless we begin to find different weapons to fight with.
right. Well, you were talking about
what did the
access, right?
Panthers say?
Yeah. What was that, Larry?
You were saying about getting access, right?
Access,
I
right.
just remembered. I didn't apply for many schools when I was applying for college,
Right.
but the one HBCU I applied to, I think I applied to two. Actually, I applied to two, but one of them I remember I applied to Howard, and Howard was like denied, but the other institution they accepted me, got me in, and so affirmative action helped me out. I like to say that it was my aptitude, but probably a certain point of it was,
But even figuring out how do you get in Howard? Like you don't just show up at Howard and be like, yo, I want to come to Howard, right? We got to start training people on how to get there. And again, I understand we can complain all the time about our elementary schools, but we need to start doing something about it. Like, for example, I'm looking at right now oral health for those who are in elementary schools. And can we do something different about that? Because it's going to make a difference, moving forward. If a kid's not in school, they're not learning, even regardless of what resources they have, they're still not learning. And so you have to begin to start looking at what are the things that are preventing and hindering people from being in school. And maybe this is an area that I jump into and I begin to do research and provide resources to this space. And as I begin to look at how I'm going to provide resources to a space eventually. Like, that's the way I think. I'm looking at, okay, this is gone. These kids are now at the mercy of the system. Remember, we talked systems yesterday. Am I going to trust the system to do right by these kids? I'm not. So there's something, I'm going to do my little part of it. Now, I don't even have a fraction of the resources, a small fraction that anyone has. All I know is something needs to be done. So let me do something about it. And as one person who sees that this is coming down the pipeline, I'm going to do something about it. Now, anyone else going to jump in and do that? No, because you know what? When people start looking at people like me, helping people that look like me, and when I say look like me, because I know I look different. Y'all don't be laughing at me. But people that look like me,
not many people look like you, bro.
Good, great, Jack.
When I start helping people that look like me, guess what people do? Oh, that's such a great thing. That you're doing such a good job. Congratulations. But guess what? They won't put a dollar behind the work that you're doing. And so you just struggle and you do what you can to help the people that are struggling to do what they can, because eventually you see a brighter vision for the future. And so sometimes we can't wait for the people that got all the millions and billions to do what we can. On a lower level, can we get involved with something? Can we put our resources into something and just say, you know what? I'd rather live a legacy and leave a legacy than have just this mess still hanging over my head when my days are up. And so,
but see what you're talking about, Thomas, like your level of credibility is unchanged with the decision from the Supreme Court, right? There are Thomases out here, and I applaud everything that you do. Just like, look, I pat myself on the back and applaud the efforts that I have put forth to try to impact and make change. We're all here to want to we desire to affect change. My challenge with this is, to your point, we can't wait on the system. You're right. We cannot wait, because it's obvious how the system is built, right? But you still can't ignore the fact that the Supreme Court of the United States has just invoked a policy, essentially invoking their own personal policy into academics, into the college ranks, right? They want the process to be the way that they want it to be.
Right.
Here's a question. These are things that are being discussed.
Yes.
If affirmative action is reversed. Are you also reversing legacy children?
Right.
You don't
You
get into
could
the
be.
school anymore
Of
because
course,
that's where
of
your
course you are.
granddaddy went. You
Right.
don't get into the school anymore
course you
because
are.
that's where your daddy went. You
Right.
don't get into the school anymore because your uncle is a dean, right? I'm saying, like, you also have to get rid of legacy children as well, because that's a benefit that nobody talks about.
Right.
Nepotism
Well,
is alive and well in the
Right.
academic ranks. So if we
listen,
don't get a leg up, then
Ooh.
they shouldn't either. If you're
And
gonna
it ain't
balance
gonna
the
die
scales,
soon. Mm-mm.
Brian, you are 100% right. But when has the
It
system
ain't
been
gonna
right?
die soon.
When has the system been right? So here's what I'm looking at. It is what it is. The decision's made. Now what?
Right.
Look, if we keep harping on the decision being made and they did this and they're doing this and they this and we already know what they're going to do. So listen, 10 years from
while
Here's
now,
the
the
problem.
fight
10 years
is
from now, we
Here's
can
happening.
still
the
be
problem.
talking about,
Here's
remember back in
the
2023
problem with
when they
that
made
line
that
of thinking.
decision. See, this is the way it's hurt us this way. Or we start to change our mindset and say, you know what? You made your decision. Now we have to go for ours. We have to
Right.
move forward.
Here-
Listen, I'm a
here's the
guy
line.
with, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying anything. And this is what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that what I'm about to say anyone can do. I'm not saying that. But I'm a guy with 2 major felonies. I just pulled up my high school transcript the other day, and my freshman year, I finished my freshman year with a 0.88. You know, and I was just going through it. I wanted to pull up these records because I wanted to see where I came from. I didn't graduate high school on time, but I went to University of Phoenix, which was a terrible school to go to, but I went to school anyways. I graduated that with a 3.5, right? Now I'm
Right.
doing my master's degree. I'm about to finish my master's degree with a 4.0, right? And I'm gonna go for whatever I can go for. And there's gonna be opportunities that are gonna open up. And what I want us to say, what I want us to know is that whatever we do, we got to start teaching people how to do it with excellence. We can't just sit back and go, you know what, they took this away from us. They've been taken from us forever. When we start looking at, like, okay, we got affirmative action in colleges, but how has the public education system declined over the last 60 years? We just let that happen to us. And that's what I'm saying. We let things continue to happen to us. We wait, let me even go here. We celebrate ignorance from our own people through the music that we promote.
It is.
That's,
It
You know,
is.
when we
that's,
start
that's
promoting
another
this
topic, Thomas.
ignorant music
Thomas,
and people
that's
start
another-
picking up with, listen, you don't
Another
have
topic.
Rolling 60
Another
gang
topic.
members across the country without the music.
Right.
And so that's
The
what,
franchise.
you just
It's
got
a
to start
franchise.
thinking about what we got to do better ourselves. And I'm sick and tired of trying to depend on a system that ain't even for us.
Go ahead, bro.
Cole, you want to share something? Cole, I know you're trying to jump in there real quick.
Well, I mean, all this sounds great, but you got to look at the whole diaspora of us as a community. When have we thought, as a whole body, well, we can do this for ourselves? When have we not thought, okay, well, a big time celebrity is going to pull us up? When have we not thought a politician is going to pull us up if he gets in the right spot?
Right.
When have we not thought, okay, a big time executive is going to pull us up? This is our mindset. And unfortunately, for not necessarily this particular body, because we do understand that we have to actually do for ourselves. I mean, people out there know, I grew up under the household of a Black Panther. And of course, Black Panther was all about all power to the people. They grew up, I mean, they fostered an understanding within the community saying, well, the government can't do jack for us. We got to do it ourselves. And we unfortunately are in a society and a community where we don't foster that belief. We don't believe we can do this for ourselves. And we also come from a community that harps on what we don't have. Harps on, man, the man's got us down. Affirmative action, abortion. I mean, we harp on those things and we don't talk about, okay, how are we going to overcome that? Or how are we going to circumvent that? And how, as a community, we're going to do it? We wait on the one person to do it, but we don't feel as though the community is strong enough to do it because we've never seen the community do it. Now, this divorces itself from, of course, what the Bible teaches us about it, but just as a community, that is not how we have thought. And so now you've got to get to a position where you have to have the community think we are stronger than the chains that bind us down to the thought process of we're nothing because of our skin color.
So Cole, let me throw something out there. We do know. We talk about how we built this country on the backs of slavery, on the backs of this, all the creativity and all the great people who've made, you know, the stoplight, the super soaker, the everything else. We talk about all the things, the legacy of things. We forget that now we're more equipped to do certain things.
What? Wait, we do
forget.
what?
We forget.
We talk about
how creative
right.
people are. We forget the influence that's out there based upon a lot of the things that we do. We laugh at people who talking about girlfriend, you know, and you know, when we start talking about how other people are using certain language, we forget that that's our language. A lot of times the slang and all the other stuff that's out there is based upon a lot of things we've said. The thing is, we're not using our abilities for the right things. We're using our abilities to chill the most hard. You know, we're using our abilities to see how fast we can go to the bottom. And the reality is, and I'm just saying this, like, I think that we are
crabs in a barrel. Perfect. Right there.
Yeah. We are equipped to do so much more. And when I say we, I mean we the people, anyone who feels oppressed, anybody who feels down and out. We are equipped to do so much more. We just need the access to do it. And we need the mindset to shift to say, let me stop shooting myself in the foot and let me go after it. Listen, I went to prison twice because we live in a system that prevents access to things. And I made decisions based upon my environment and everything that led me to prison. Now, let me just say this. A lot of people have that same mentality, and I don't knock them for it. If I would have known better, I would have did better. If I had access to better, I would have did better. But the reality is I didn't. But now what do? Do I just hang my head and say, you know what, now that I'm in this felon world, and do I just stop or do I push? And when I gave a bigger push toward going a different way, things changed a little bit. The struggle's not over. You know, I'll be 51 on Tuesday, and I'm still struggling to try to just make it fit. But what I'm trying to say here is we got to equip them early to be able to mastermind a life type of vision and plan. People don't have a vision, and that's where the perishing comes from. Go ahead, Brian or Cole, either one.
What I'm saying is we got to equip them, period. Young, middle-aged, old.
Everybody.
We have to equip them, period. Because people don't have the mindset you have, brother. I mean, and that's beautiful because that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be stuck in the mire of, oh, Lord, you know, all this happened to me. What am I going to do? I can't do anything. No, you're supposed to push through it all.
What I didn't do it by myself.
I know you didn't do it by yourself. I know you did not do it by yourself.
All right, go ahead.
I didn't get to why I did it by myself either. What I want to say before I cede to Pastor is that we have the mentality that we need a earth savior to save us. Notice what I said, earth savior, not Jesus, an earth savior. I mean like Marcus Garvey, like Malcolm X, like Louis Farrakhan, like Al Sharpton, like Barack Obama, like LeBron James. We need to have an earth savior to pull us out of our situation, and we don't need them.
I say Cole. I vote Cole.
We need ourselves.
That's good.
We don't need them, and that is how we think.
Yeah.
Right. we need like so Ephraim made this comment.
There you go. Give him some cash.
Right. Ephraim made this comment about, you know, the notoriety of Al Sharpton. So right on the
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to give Cole an offering.
Listen, Brian,
There you go.
that's that false
Thank
thing
you,
that
brother.
you're
Thank you,
doing.
brother.
If you really want to get Cole and offering out, pull out your phone and pull out your Cash App and hit him
Yeah,
up.
there you go.
Right.
Now there you go.
All right. All right.
But
Here's the point. Why can't the two
Go ahead, brother.
the two talking tracks are not mutually exclusive? We talk about
Right.
the
They're not.
system, the challenges with the system. We cannot ignore that they continue to put a limit on our ability to liberate. Okay. At the same time, we still need heroes.
We do.
Championing the cause.
Yeah.
In the trenches. Right? But it doesn't. What we're learning is as much work as getting put into working and operating in the trenches, we cannot live under the umbrella of someone else's control, someone else's yoke. We've got to be in a position to operate in the trenches, but we also have to be in a position to effect policy.
Right.
You're right. This is not a money grab. This is a power move. This is a fear that I'm losing power and I've got to do everything 100%. That I can to keep the edge. This is another indication of a minority regime controlling the narrative, like social media or the main what is it called? What do you call it? Main media, mainstream media,
mainstream. No, right. Mainstream.
Yeah,
mainstream.
And media. So if you can mainstream. Control the narrative and you can control policy, you control the country. Period. Right. And what they'll do is they'll say, "Oh yeah, let them black folks keep on working. They can let them improve their schools because we still control the job market.
Right.
We're still making the laws.
That's exactly the thing.
We still can empower police to beat you upside your head anytime we want to. So go ahead, make your little money, LeBron.
We'll throw him this bone.
Yeah, make your little money, John Hope
we'll
Bryant.
Throw him this bone.
So we've got to be able to affect policy. You can't have one without the other.
All right. So if I say this word, who do you think of, or what do you think of?
100%.
I have a dream. I have a dream. What do you think of? Okay, Martin. When's the last time we said I have a dream? Why can't we be the leaders of the dream now? We're still holding on to a dream from 60 years ago when we have an opportunity to have a dream. A lot of people aren't. Okay, Brian, I know you aren't, but at the same time, when we hear I have a dream, we never say I have a dream and here's my dream.
Yeah,
I have a dream that our people are now equipped and empowered to really work throughout whatever system they're in to be able to overcome a lot of the barriers. I have a dream for that. I have a dream that neighbors treat neighbors the way they should. I have a dream for that. But a lot of times, do you have a dream? Are we equipping people to even dream these days? Or are we still holding on to a dream?
Thomas, you remember me talking about
not even been here for years? We're still holding on to their dream.
Answer, no.
Do you remember me talking about writing my what did I talk about writing, y'all, before I die?
Remind us, please.
A vision or a dream.
Huh? My legacy, right?
Your legacy.
Right.
What will be read when I leave out of here, when I leave here? I said I wanted to control it by beginning to write it myself. Am I right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be right. Right.
Not an obituary.
I got it.
When I start talking about writing what should be said about me after I was gone, I was told, anybody trying to think about death?
Right.
And it's the same thing that you're talking about. I have a dream. Yeah, I got a dream too. And what I'm doing is I'm operating in reverse. Here's what they're going to say about me when I'm gone. And once I begin to write it out, then my plan, my strategy for my life should accompany what I put on paper. And it's dynamic. It continues to change. Right. You and what I'm saying is now you have a blueprint for what you're trying to accomplish because you've put it out there. Right. And so, and it's the same thing that you're talking about, Thomas. And what I'm saying is more of us need to do exactly what you're saying. I can't live off Martin's dream, but I can be a part of the fulfillment of his dream.
Right.
And make that a reality.
So
because that's what we're supposed to do in the first place. We're supposed to take that dream and make what Martin Luther King said 60 years ago an absolute reality.
Yeah. So we talk about we living off of past laurels and stuff, and we taking certain things for granted. Like I just remember this organization that's supposed to be like on top of these things. Ready? The NAACP. Is that organization still working? Like, are they working differently? They're working before, or right now they're just using the name and just like taking funds and just pad in their pocket? Are they?
Well, all organizations like that work still. They just work in a space. They can only cover one space.
They work in a confined space.
Right.
They work in spaces that are different and alternative
they're policies
spaces.
and research now. They're like policy and research. I've been
there's a lot of alternative spaces out there.
So when their research didn't come up that this was about to come across a docket that they maybe need to address, or maybe they felt, you know what?
I'm gonna go to the site. They might have been up there, but we're not. We all consumed by our everyday that we miss these things. You know, this thing was coming down the pike for a while. You know, the Supreme Court about the voting rights coming down the pike for a while.
I don't even remember when do they do their recruitment. Like, I don't even remember getting recruited. You know, when I was a young kid, like I heard about the organization, but I was never asked to be a part. I just assumed they were working for us. You know,
let me say this, Larry. What you're saying right there is where you see a problem, you see a need, meet it. So, like, if you don't see them out there, go figure it out and then advocate, or do the opposite.
Right.
Like a lot of times we see the problems, but we like someone needs to do something about that. Why don't we just be like, I see the problem. This is the thing I see that I need to fix. And a lot of times,
if you are not the reincarnation of my father, because he would say this to me. Wow. I say, if you are not the reincarnation of my father, because he would say these things to me from the time I was 2 to the time I was 20. Like, he would say it in bluer language. He was saying Negroes ain't want to do this for themselves, but that's what we got to do.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't say Negroes.
Yeah, like
the bluer language.
We're gonna dig more into this because I want to challenge you guys to something. And so we're gonna begin to wrap this up. I know it's Friday, and we got 2 minutes before 10, so I'm gonna need us to bring up the conversation. I didn't think we were gonna talk about this long. I didn't anticipate it, but it was good. What if for the ones that we're waiting for? Right.
That's how
we'll get into that. What if for the ones we're waiting for? Right.
100.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's big. So, Ryan, what you got for us?
What's that? You mean like final comments?
Nah, we need some comments.
Some dad jokes, man.
We need some dad jokes, brother. It's dad joke time.
I'm thinking,
I'm already wearing this shirt and I'm ready to go outside and be like, this is not my February shirt, but it spoke to me this morning. And
Black History every day, brother. It's Black History.
How does dry skin affect you at work?
How does dry skin affect you at work?
They call me Ashy Larry.
You don't have any elbow grease to put into it.
Oh. Hey, when I was growing up, my mom told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Turns out identity theft is a crime. I got to say it again. When I was growing up, my mom told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Turns out identity theft is a crime.
Yeah. I heard it the first time.
So let me say it again because y'all ain't laughing.
We can't tell if you're still preaching. That's what it is.
What do you call a factory that makes okay products?
Okay.
A satisfactory.
A satisfactory, Lord.
Why doesn't the Hulk lose his pants when he transforms? Because the experiment altered his genes.
I got a problem with math. Math, grow up, solve your own problems.
Wow, AD, that sounds like one of yours.
I heard a background laugh. I heard a background laugh.
Oh God.
He said,
solve your own problems.
all right. So listen, we appreciate you guys for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy, car edition.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So we're gonna dig further into this coming togetherness. These these jokes though. We're trying to help
You were
out,
correct,
Rollins.
Dr. Rollins. Yes.
Hey, I know 25 letters
Dr.
of the
Rollins.
alphabet.
Yes, Dr. Rollins, I'm the same as you. Oh.
said
I know 25 letters of the alphabet.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Yo,
Boom,
that
boom.
laugh. All right, so make sure you are.
Look at Larry cracking up. Larry make you laugh off that. That's that
Right,
dad
right.
laugh right there. He got the dad joke laugh. You need to be on here. We need to record that and make sure that.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
yeah, definitely. Make sure you stay connected. Text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576. Thank you, Mama Corey.
Thank you.
And yes, Lisa, it's tomorrow. We won't get to sing. It's the first of the month.
It's the first of the month.
Wake up,
Right,
wake
right.
up, wake up.
Listen, Larry, get tears, right? So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Stay safe, make good choices. 988. If you or someone you love is having a mental health crisis, make sure you dial 988. Drive safe. The holidays is coming.
Yes.
You know, people get crazy.
Yes. Be safe.
Why? I don't understand. But we'll see you guys next week. Stay connected. Tell someone you haven't told in a while that you love them, and call them.
Love
Call
you guys. Thank
Cover. Yes. All right. So let me see if I can end this right. All right. Let's see. Right here. Right here. There we go. All right, guys. Peace out.
you. Hit me.